Like my mindset is different. Like when I exercise, I feel better about myself.
Support them and encourage them and equip them with the skills and the practice to make positive choices and believe in themselves.
Soon after arriving, some of the dogs began showing symptoms of a severe upper respiratory illness that's highly contagious.
Yeah, it's really sad. And then you get so exhausted, and then when you're exhausted and sad, and then when we're dealing with this, everyone, their other duties, our workload here is huge.
We specialize in people who have never played before, who always kind of had a dream of playing their favorite kinds of music.
Working right now on the Phantom of the Opera score. 5 years ago, I couldn't even play Mary Had a Little Lamb.
From 3 News Now and the Omaha World-Herald, this is Omaha Sunday Morning with Jennifer Griswold.
Good morning and thanks for joining us this morning. I'm Jennifer Griswold. We start this week with a group of runners. These runners don't sport matching uniforms. Instead, they tackle laps in a mishmash of pink sweats, colorful leggings, and polka dot jeans. As they ran around a triangle-shaped patch of grass near a playground, they slowed to walk, talk, and tie loose shoelaces. As Omaha World-Herald visual journalist Chris Makian shows us, the club's goal is not to race or set personal records. The goal is to keep girls moving forward.
Ready? Girls on the Run is so much fun! Girls on the Run is a program that aims to help our young girls set goals for themselves. They start by setting goals for a 5K race. That is the ultimate goal. And each time we practice, they set a personal goal for themselves. So it's about motivating themselves and motivating their team.
Oh, yeah. 15. I'm gonna set it down for them. 11. Wait.
I like how everybody's making their own individual goal. What is it?
I didn't really like running because it made me tired. So now I feel better about running because I'm doing it with other people. If you do it with other people, it's like they're doing the same thing too, so you don't have to be embarrassed about like if you're not fit yet. So.
Girls on the Run also has a curriculum on things like compromise, self-esteem, collaborating, communicating, making friends, things that all of our girls learn to navigate at a young age. And so we just want to support them and encourage them to always and equip them with the skills and the practice to, you know, make positive choices and believe in themselves.
So when you do Girls on the Run, it makes me like my mindset is different. Like when I exercise, I feel better about myself. So like I want to try a different sport.
Ready, go!
So celebrating their uniqueness. So we really celebrate what is unique and great about you just as you are, so that you don't have to change anything.
Paper, scissors, shoot!
At Girls on the Run, each girl can be their own unique individual self and celebrate that.
We're encouraging each other, so made each other feel good.
Because girls need it. Because girls see a lot of things in the media that can sometimes tamper with their self-esteem.
They're big ideas. You can't write small.
Nebraska's program started in 2003 with a team at one Lincoln Elementary School. This fall, there were 62 sites in the state. Many of Omaha's buildings represent our city's history. One such gem, Central High School, is in the midst of an expansion. A local company is going to great lengths to ensure the history of the original building is incorporated into Central High School's new performing arts expansion. 3 News Now reporter Maya Stein shows us how the district is keeping the old school feel.
As Central High School gets a new look, the school is working hard to keep the building's authentic history. Construction on the high school's new 50,000 square foot addition started last June. For the last few months, Scott Carson from Carson Stone Supply and his team have been working to recreate the stones from the original building.
For the total piece count, we're about 4,000 individual pieces for this project, which it's a big puzzle. Every single piece has an exact home an exact rhyme or reason on why it's going where it is.
Even making sure the stones came from the same place.
The stone was sourced from Indiana, around the Bedford, Bloomington area. That's one of the more historically known limestone deposits, and that's where the stone for the existing school came from in the late 1800s.
Carson has one of the few stone saws in the country. With it, he's able to cut the thousands of tons of stone with almost laser precision.
We basically go by the direction of the architects and engineers that tell us how to do the cuts and fabrication. They give us CAD drawings and we input them into the stone saws, and the saws do all the heavy lifting.
Leaving his mark on one of Omaha's landmarks.
Everybody wants to leave their fingerprint on earth, and what a better way to do it in natural stone. Something that I think about, that my kids and my kids' grandkids can know that their grandfather, great-grandfather had a play in being a part of a landmark building here in Omaha that is very well known.
Carson says they still have hundreds of stone pieces to make. The school expansion is scheduled to be completed in February of next year. When hurricanes hit the Carolinas and Florida, some people fled their homes without their pets. Now dozens of those displaced cats and dogs are here in Nebraska. Unfortunately, they have some unexpected but not uncommon medical issues. How folks here are making sure they're taken care of next on Omaha Sunday Morning. After being forced to evacuate Puerto Rico last year following Hurricane Maria, a woman came here to Omaha to be with family. She thought it would be a short stay, but a difficult diagnosis has changed all of that. She's learned here in Omaha what she thought was sunburn is much more severe and is keeping her from returning to Puerto Rico. 3 News Now reporter Maya Signs has her story.
Just getting gas, the regular food, water. The lines in the groceries were like 3-4 hours long. By the time you were in there, there was nothing on the shelves, so it was like, what am I gonna get?
For weeks, Yaritza Perez and thousands of others in Puerto Rico lived in survival mode following Hurricane Maria.
People don't think of how important the power and the water is until you don't have it. And yeah, it was survival mode for everybody. Like, people would get broken into their house just to take food.
Eager to drive to her dad a few hours away after the storm, Perez waited in line to pump at a gas station for almost 12 hours.
Like around noon, the gas ran out. And they're like, you know, we're expecting another truck to come, but we don't have any communication. And trucks of gas would have to be escorted by the police, because people were jumping them.
Despite being under shade at the gas station, Perez got severely sunburnt.
Maybe like a week or so after, like, it started to hurt. And then the peeling and then the bleeding, I was like, wait, this is not normal.
Without a lot of access to water or proper medical care, Perez moved to Omaha to be with her brother and to seek medical help.
And that's when I literally had to just go to the hospital. Like, I collapsed. I was weak. I couldn't walk. I couldn't eat. I didn't do anything but sleep.
While at UNMC getting treatment for her burns, doctors told her she had lupus, which caused her burns to intensify. Now she's unable to be exposed to the sun for any short amount of time or return to the tropical climate of Puerto Rico for the sake of her health.
I honestly didn't want to leave the island, even though the struggle was bad over there. But yeah, like, when I saw my health situation, I knew I wasn't going to be able to get the help over there.
Perez had to go to the emergency room 3 days after arriving in Omaha last year and did not have insurance at the time. Her Medicaid application was denied. She's now working with a local organization to help her pay the $15,000 emergency medical bill. After a mild start to the month of November, it came to a screeching halt this weekend. It's been much cooler and wet. The week ahead, temperatures won't budge much. It remains unseasonably cool the next few days, plus the passage of an even stronger front midweek will push even colder air our way by Wednesday and Thursday. There is still a chance for rain Monday and possibly early Tuesday morning, but it dries out later in the week. Dozens of dogs and cats displaced by hurricanes in the Carolinas and Florida are now here in Nebraska, recovering and getting ready to be placed in new homes. Hearts United in Auburn, Nebraska flew the animals here, but as 3 News Now reporter Megan Hahn found out, the animal rescue is dealing with some unexpected setbacks.
Less than a week after arriving at Hearts United for Animals, these displaced dogs look right at home in Nebraska. But the long journey here wasn't without some lingering side effects.
We at first thought, wow, we had a really great bunch of relaxed dogs, but then we found out that they were mostly sick, which is unfortunate, but it happens, especially with hurricane dogs. Whenever you're rescuing dogs that come out of a really wet situation, we see a lot of it, we really do.
Soon after arriving, some of the dogs began showing symptoms of a severe upper respiratory illness that's highly contagious.
It's spread by aerosol transmission, so the coughing, there's little droplets of liquid when the dog coughs, and then the dog in the next cage breathes those in and can get that.
The nonprofit animal shelter says the unexpected illness will delay the adoption process. The animals have to be quarantined, and medication is expected to cost in the thousands.
I bought 2 bottles, 2 different milligrams yesterday at the vet, and the cost was $725. Makes us really sad. Yeah, it's really sad. And then you get so exhausted, and then when you're exhausted and sad, it becomes a huge problem. And then when we're dealing with this, everyone, their other duties, our workload here is huge.
One of the dogs now has pneumonia, but the respiratory illness is considered treatable. And the kittens that were also displaced in the hurricanes are healthy and already being adopted out.
Some of them, it's a miracle that they're even here, but we will spare no expense getting them back to good and finding them great homes.
The hope is to have the dogs healthy and up for adoption within the next few weeks. The shelter is a no-kill nonprofit, and they are in need of donations and people interested in adopting. We have more information on our website, 3newsnow.com. Great Scott, it's a blast from the past, or maybe toward the future. 2 famed DeLoreans can be spotted around Omaha if you know where to look. We talked to the very faithful Back to the Future fans who keep these cars going. The car made famous in Back to the Future can be seen on the streets of Omaha. 2 Omahans own the recognizable DeLorean DMC-12, used as the time machine in the hit movies. Omaha World-Herald visual journalist Zach Long met the owners.
Great Scott, I've had my DeLorean for about 1.5 years.
Well, we're going, we don't need roads.
Let's see if these jerks can do 90. Or at least 45.
In the 80s, just, watching it for the first time, and it's just one of those movies you just can watch 1,000 times and still love it.
Well, I feel like I made that decision, I don't know, 35 years ago.
A little scary for me, but exciting for him.
Exciting for me, because it's finally happened and it was a done deal.
What do you think the chances are we can get it to 88?
Not likely, but we can try.
You found that online, and we just kind of jumped on it and thought, this is something unique. It's one of a kind, so it's going to be something we have a lot of fun with.
Maybe one day get another one and do the conversion.
Yeah.
That's my goal.
Yeah.
Why not just have 2?
On the sports almanac there, that is just classic. The 2 cars can be seen at a 7 p.m. November 9th screening of Back to the Future at the Joslyn Art Museum. Very cool. This week, kids across the area got in the Halloween spirit and filled their candy bags to the brim. And a special event made sure some young patients at Children's Hospital and Medical Center did not miss out. The annual Fall Festival included games and a costume contest for the kids. Staff and volunteers passed out non-edible treats as a way to let them enjoy trick-or-treating despite their difficult medical conditions.
Part of this for our hospital is trying to normalize the
environment for children. And so those children who are in the hospital who have to miss Halloween or can't go trick-or-treating, this is our opportunity to bring that into the hospital for them so they don't miss out on the fun that they would be having at school or at home.
Hospital employees also participated in a costume contest to match the kids. Using yarn and buttons, nurses at CUMC Bergen Mercy got crafty and created little hats for the babies in the neonatal intensive care unit. The theme is down on the farm, oh my goodness, and the babies are dressed up as farm animals. The nurses got pretty creative to make sure even the tiniest trick-or-treaters got into the spirit of the season. Last year, the nurses made troll hats, also adorable, I'm sure. It's a concern for all parents, keeping your kids safe, especially behind the wheel. Coming up, I sit down with an expert in safety to discuss how her agency is working to cut down distracted driving deaths across the nation. We have a preview of what's coming up next on CBS Sunday Morning after Omaha Sunday Morning. Joining us with a look is Jane Pauley. Hi, Jane. I hear you have Jeff Goldblum, and obviously know him as a fantastic actor. I didn't know he's a musician, too.
Well, he's a musician. There's a lot about Jeff Goldblum that we'll be telling you about. The fact that he is a jazz musician, has a jazz album coming out. But he's just such a personality. He was the computer geek who saves the world in Independence Day, you'll remember. And he plays an eccentric scientist in the movie The Fly, and an eccentric mathematician in Jurassic Park. Quirky are these characters he plays, but it turns out in real life, Jeff Goldblum's kind of a quirky guy. I'll give you a sample. Here's with Anthony Mason.
There's a cadence to your speech.
Yeah. I like that hearty laugh. Hey, I'd like to hear you sing.
No, you wouldn't.
Listen to that voice. I'd like to hear you in South Pacific. If ever I would leave you. Anthony Mason is
Rosanna Brazzi.
Yeah, I'd like to see that. Some enchanted evening. I want to see you.
You've hijacked this line of questioning.
Okay, go ahead.
But honestly, in an interview, that's kind of what you want. He ran away with it, with his quirkiness. A moment you may not have thought about the possibility that Jeff Goldblum would be a fashion icon, but he actually is. I guess he's won awards for fashion. So Anthony gets a peek inside his closet. And I, for one, am very much looking forward to that.
Oh, for
and
sure.
I'll bet it's not a small one.
No, I bet it's quite large. He always does look so nice, but I had no idea he was in that realm as well. Fashion, who knew?
Yeah.
What else can our viewers look forward to today?
Well, some interesting stuff. Tracy Smith has the 8-hour concert. We won't have all 8 hours, but it's an 8-hour concert, which you'd think, a person could fall asleep. But I guess that would be okay, as the audience is all on beds, and I did say that, and the title of the composition is Sleep. It's sort of a lullaby. It's sort of a break from our screens and craziness in the world, and it sounds kind of appealing, don't you think?
Oh, I think that sounds delightful, like some meditation.
I do.
And I would pay some money to get some good sleep.
Yeah, I think you and me. We also have a beautiful peak of New England autumn, not just a moment of nature. I don't know what kind of autumn you've had in Omaha, but there we are. We're looking at a guy named Jeff Folger, who goes by the name Jeff Foliage, and his job is to go around and identify the peak viewpoint, like you're looking at, the ideal tree, the moments, to guide tourists, and millions of them go to New England to see the foliage, and they have a guide, Jeff Foliage, who will tell them exactly where to go. I, for one, am a little starved for that color. We're having kind of a gray November day here in New York City.
Yeah, we had, we're windy here in Omaha, so some of our leaves didn't stick around as much as I know many people would like. So getting a taste of that will be very nice to see. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jane.
Yes.
You can catch
Thank you,
CBS
Jenny.
Sunday Morning after Omaha Sunday Morning starting at 8 o'clock. We've recently launched an effort to make Omaha a safer place to live. Safe Roads Now is tackling the issue of distracted driving. One agency committed to cutting down on injuries and deaths on the roads is the National Safety Council. We've talked to the local chapter about this push, and this past week, the national president and CEO was in Omaha. I had the opportunity to sit down with Debbie Hersman to talk about the changes she'd like to see.
I think the campaign that you're running, the focus that you're paying attention to this is so important, because how do we change a culture?
Before taking the helm at the National Safety Council, Debbie Hersman served as chairman of the National Transportation Safety Board. She is a leading national safety expert. Thursday, she spoke at a Women in Safety event in Omaha.
Women in safety in STEM fields make 35% more than women in comparable jobs.
Together, they celebrated the success of women in the field, but you don't need to work in the industry to make a difference.
We've got to shift our thinking to where it's unacceptable to have fatalities on the roadway at the rate that we're having them.
100 people die on roads in the United States every single day. The deaths are preventable.
I don't know any other epidemic that we deal with on a national level where we are so complacent and we say it's okay to lose 40,000 people a year.
Hersman says we've made huge strides regarding seatbelt use, but 10% still do not buckle up.
50% of the people who are killed in vehicles are unbelted. So that 10% that's not wearing belts, they make up half of the people who are killed inside vehicles.
Hersman says legislation, education, and technology have improved roadway safety, but the people behind the wheel need to demand changes. The National Safety Council wants stricter primary enforcement of texting and driving and seatbelt use. To opponents who argue they do not want to give up their rights, Hersman offers this.
People have to realize that their decisions have consequences, and the choices that they make is not just about them, it's about all of the rest of us.
You can see all of our Safe Roads Now stories online. We also want to hear from you. Tell us how distracted drivers are affecting you. Email us at saferoads@3newsnow.com. Omaha is constantly growing and changing, working toward the future, but one planned development has tenants saying, not so fast. A look at the project that would focus on North Downtown and why some worry their voices won't be heard. Omaha seems to be constantly growing and changing, new developments popping up, replacing or renovating neighborhoods. In North Downtown, developers are moving forward with plans to upgrade a 12-block area near 17th and Cumming. The Omaha City Council approved the plan, so the city will use up to $20 million for demolition, relocation, or acquiring property through eminent domain. But one business owner says this is her home, and she doesn't want it taken. 3 News Now reporter Jake Wazakowski has the story.
New construction in North Downtown, anchored by the Kiewit headquarters, is expanding quickly. The city approved the plan for development between Cass to Cumming Streets and 14th to 22nd. The estimated $300 million investment would add office and retail space, residential, and expand Creighton University.
We've got a major investment centered around the Kiewit headquarters into the area, with some periphery development that is underutilized, vacant, or otherwise blighted.
At 17th and Cumming, Julie Prescott Burgess and her family have seen the area change drastically over the decades.
It was a neighborhood of small businesses, most of them family businesses.
Her family has owned automatic printing since the 1930s, and recently she says she put $1 million into renovating part of the building for she and her husband to retire in.
We gutted it from top to bottom, and there never was a full second floor here, just a really partial one.
But when she saw the Builders District renderings, it showed a Creighton athletic facility on top of their family's building. She's worried it will now be taken by eminent domain.
My grandfather put this here at the height of the Depression. This place has put a generation of young people through college. This is representative of the people of Omaha. This is the story of Omaha, Nebraska.
Burgess says Creighton unsuccessfully tried to buy her buildings 12 years ago. Jay Noddle, the developer, says he's had good conversations with all business owners, but Burgess says they never gotten to sit down with him. She hopes they see it's not just a building, it's their family's home.
Our family is the typical family that has worked here, has lived here, and has served here, and has grown here. And you wipe that off the map like we didn't even exist. I'm devastated by it.
The City Council would still need to approve a redevelopment agreement before they can move forward, but developers say if that happens, they could start immediately. Do you ever wonder why your dog does certain things or acts a certain way? A new University of Nebraska lab is searching for those answers for you. Anchor Emily Zink is giving us an inside look at the lab and what exactly it's doing.
And then we have the actual test room.
It's a concept from another country.
This is Coda.
Jeff Stevens, an associate professor in the Department of Psychology and the Center for Brain Biology and Behavior at the University of Nebraska, modeled his canine cognition and human interaction lab at UNL after the Clever Dog Lab in Vienna after taking a sabbatical there.
What do dogs think? How do they perceive their environment?
At the lab in Austria's capital, researchers seek to learn things like problem-solving abilities of dogs and look at their relationship with humans. Stevens saw the opportunity for similar studies right here at home.
So understanding how dogs inhibit and how we can help them inhibit things that we don't want them to do is really important.
Through a series of games involving treats, Stevens, with the help of his team of students and grad students, hoped to study things like patience and risk attitudes in dogs.
Okay, got it.
Okay. One of the ways they'll be collecting data.
There we go.
So that's what we want to see. We want to see the dog that goes to the treats that have more at a farther distance away.
Through community events like a dog fest and word of mouth, Stevens and his team are signing folks and their pups up to take part in the new lab, set to officially start in the coming weeks.
Stay.
Graduate student Elise Thayer is a fan of their setup.
You can actually see what you're doing and how you're helping.
Surveillance cameras record each test session and help owners watch while not distracting their dogs. But there will be times when canines and their owners are tested together.
How does interacting with animals, dogs specifically, influence our stress levels, which then can translate into influencing our cognition and our decision making?
Stevens also hopes to learn more about how dogs affect human behavior and study therapy dogs and even police canines. The whole study will take years, but the results should be rewarding in the end.
There's no more. I'm sorry.
Emily Zink, 3 News Now.
Jeff says he's always looking for new dogs to test, and it doesn't matter age, breed, or size. If you'd like to participate, we have more information on our website, 3newsnow.com. It might seem like a simple task, mowing the lawn, but a man named Rodney Smith Jr. has made it his mission to go state to state, cutting the lawns of people who are complete strangers. The Alabama man has come back to our city to perform more good deeds. 3 News Now reporter Shantae Passmore caught up with him while he worked.
Rodney Smith Jr. is a man of few words. Instead, he's all action, which is a good thing for 71-year-old Catherine McCants.
Oh, yeah.
Because she learned about a man going from state to state, lawn to lawn, to manicure yards for those going through a hard time. Veterans, single moms, the elderly, and those with disabilities. We caught up with Smith during his second visit to Omaha this summer for his 50 States, 50 Lawn tour. In October, Smith again completed another national tour. Right now, he's stopping at lawns as he heads home to Alabama.
I mean, it doesn't take much to make a difference.
Because the impact is immediately felt once his lawnmower hits your yard.
He's able to spend time for daughter, so you know, that's why we do it.
He's even known to do a mow-by, and it's just what you think.
And I pass a house that looked like it needs some love. I'll knock on the door, and if no one's there, I'll just mow it and then leave.
When asked how many more tours he has left in him, he says there's always a tour to be done. To which McCants says,
just keep on keeping on. God go bless you.
For Smith, the story isn't so much about him mowing lawns for free, but for others to
find what you're good at and put it to use and help people.
Now with his third national tour finished, Smith says he's nowhere near done. That's right, we can expect to see more of him. This time he says he's working on something even more special. We'll just have to stay tuned till this December. Reporting in Omaha, Shantae Passmore, 3 News Now.
And one of his next big projects is called the 7 Continents, 7 Lawns Tour, which he plans to launch next year. In the meantime, young people and kids are also getting in on the action by mowing other people's yards. Music, laughter, and life lessons. Just a few things you'll find at Critchett's Music during piano class time. But these aren't your typical students, and it's definitely not your typical class. Omaha World-Herald visual journalist Kent Sievers shows us how music is speaking to a slightly older soul.
One day I was looking in the newspaper and the ad popped out at me, wanted seniors, and I thought, well, I'm not that old, but I'll go check this out.
We have 7 classes that we teach every week, and it's all people who are mainly retired looking to have fun with a hobby. We specialize in people who have never played before, who always kind of had a dream of playing their favorite kinds of music.
I'm working right now on the Phantom of the Opera score, and 5 years ago I couldn't even play Mary Had a Little Lamb.
We have people in this store that have been coming for over 20 years. And they come every week for their classes. They mainly come for coffee and cookies, but they like to see all their friends and enjoy the music as well.
We're all interested in a hobby that's fun, and we enjoy each other's company. It has a lot of levity to it, but at the same time, it helps you to learn things that are new and different. And music is wonderful for the soul.
Classes are available for any skill level, no matter your age. The goal is to make it fun for everyone. Teachers often give their heart and soul to their classrooms, sometimes part of their paycheck too. Next, we tag along with Bellevue Schools Foundation, the wishes they're answering for some very deserving teachers. Special projects and field trips, those are a couple of things teachers work hard to offer their students. Sometimes they're made possible by school budgets. Other times, teachers use their own money or raise funds. 3 News Now reporter Shante Passmore captured moments of surprise in the classroom.
First stop, Bellevue East.
There's a group of us that are going from school to school.
This small army of givers walks the hallways, something special in hand.
Can I have your attention, please?
Sure to grab attention.
I'm sorry for the interruption.
Well, I was a little nervous because you never kind of know what to expect.
On behalf of the Bellevue Public Schools Foundation, we're very happy to award you this grant for $750 for your World History AP exam prep test.
Ooh! There we go, guys.
Sarah Fiel is one of many teachers who turned in a grant application. While she plans to use the money to buy a class set of AP prep books, Spanish teacher Gwen Steele sits on another idea.
My idea for this money is going to be used for our kids for additional flexible seating.
Better environments, better books, better ideas, all of it takes money. And that's where the Bellevue Public Schools Foundation steps in.
It energizes the teachers to know that they have another arm for support, that we care about what they're doing.
More than $50,000 will go to Bellevue teachers. The support is something tangible with a long-lasting impact, because while teachers get the awards, the way the foundation sees it, the students get the benefits.
It's the best guide for you.
For In the Classroom, I'm Shante Passmore, 3 News Now.
In the Classroom is part of our commitment to covering education in our communities. You can find our ongoing series on our website, 3newsnow.com. They often say food is the way to a person's heart, and this next story is serving of love by the spoonful. The chef, a 14-year-old sophomore. Her recipe, mix good food, a little kindness, and a lot of hard work to bring people from all walks of life together to talk, laugh, and learn from each other. Omaha World-Herald visual journalist Ryan Soderlin was there as she got to work on her masterpiece.
I would describe it as a catering business with a good cause to get people informed about other cultures.
All excited. I had so many people there this morning.
So it started in the summer. We had a builder challenge, and it first started as a restaurant, and we were calling it corners of the world. And then we got some feedback from coaches that were here helping us, and we turned it into a food delivery system and changed the name to World in a Box.
Okay, thank you guys. This is my car. We can start grabbing this.
What I love about Jimena's idea is that the whole concept is that food brings people together, and so often in Omaha, it's unintentional. You're just segregated from maybe other people that are quite different than you. And so I love this idea that you can use food as a medium to connect people. There's tons of interesting restaurants here in town, really interesting communities, and when you can bring those people together, I think that that's pretty powerful.
There is organization like...
You know, I hope that this is kind of a break for her, right? So that was a couple months ago that we saw her as a finalist in the Future Builder competition, and it caught my eye and it caught Amanda's eye. And then having it come together with this concept, I hope that this is something that catches momentum and it can be really helpful for her.
Your idea, you pitch, right? You combine that with...
Who knows where it could go, right? I mean, with small business, you just never know, but it's definitely a very valuable experience for her to take forward in her career, going through this and getting a chance to actually realize the idea. I have 400 people enjoy a lunch with her World in a Box concept behind it.
I've learned that it takes a lot for something to happen, and that if you have an idea, no matter how old you are, you just go with it. There's people along the way that will help you, just like Amanda helped me. And to believe in yourself, no matter how crazy or big the idea might be.
Inspiring young woman. Builder Trend, which employs more than 350 people, caters in a free lunch every Friday. They catered in World in a Box, and afterwards the employees learned about volunteer opportunities at Omaha's Refugee Empowerment Center. It's a modern-day crime, and businesses in particular need to be aware. Hackers take control of your computer to gain access. Again, you have to pay up. We talk with an expert in the FBI, the 2 best ways to protect yourself on Omaha Sunday Morning. Recently, the city of Beatrice was the victim of a cyber crime. Hackers got into computers and seized control of the city's phone and internet service. That affected vital departments like police and fire. The FBI is now sounding the alarm about this growing type of crime. 3 News Now anchor Craig Negrelli has the story.
It's a 4-pronged attack, but it only requires the victim to do one thing.
FBI Special Agent in Charge Randy Theisey walks me through a flowchart of something that sounds pretty menacing, and it definitely could happen to all of us on our computers. It's a crime that costs a lot of money to undo or reverse. Ransomware.
Ransomware is a piece of virus or malware that can get on your computer, and it will look for your data files, and it will encrypt your data files so you cannot have access to them.
Here's how it works. Cyber thieves send you an email known as spam with an attachment. When you open it, you've launched the virus, and certain data that you have stored or saved is compromised.
And then once they're encrypted, they're unreadable by your computer. To open up a letter, it'll open it up, it'll be just like a jumbled mess.
You then receive a message, a countdown, which tells you how much time you have to pay the computer crooks, or your files will be permanently gone, kaput.
Right in there it says you have 96 hours to submit your payment, and it has a countdown clock.
The most popular is something called crypto locker. The ransom is payment to get a private key. That's a fancy term for a bunch of numbers and a password the thieves will send you to get your data back.
You're at their mercy.
And this is the financial web a victim gets caught in when making a payment. In the example the FBI showed us, $300 for the password for access to your files.
The network that the money travels on, that makes it near impossible to trace.
There are 2 specific ways you can protect your files on your computer. Number 1, make sure you have aggressive anti-malware software installed on your computer. Number 2, always back up your files. So if you become a victim of ransomware, you can let the clock expire and you still have all your valuable information.
This week, the FBI held a seminar on the UNO campus, teaming up with the Greater Omaha Chamber of Commerce to alert businesses of how to protect their computers from cyber thieves. And we'll be right back with Fill in the Blank. It's time once again for our Fill in the Blank segment with the Huskers. In this week's edition, our sports reporter Phil Bergman sits down with Mick Stoltenberg to talk all things Halloween. Let's take a look.
Mick, it's Halloween this week. What's your favorite Halloween costume?
I was a fireman once, so let's go fireman.
Your name is Mick. Have you ever thought of dressing up as Mickey Mouse for Halloween?
I guess I really haven't given it thought, but people have called me that just joking around before.
Favorite Halloween song?
Monster Mash.
Favorite Halloween movie?
Halloween.
Not Hocus Pocus?
I've never actually seen Hocus Pocus.
You've never seen Hocus Pocus?
People will probably get after me for that, but I don't think I've ever seen it start to finish.
If you were to make a pumpkin and carve it, what would you design on it?
I think I do like the guy from Nightmare Before Christmas. I can't remember his name, but it's kind of got like the stitches for the mouth. I think that'd be a good one.
Okay. Did you do a pumpkin this year?
Yeah, I actually did one last night, and that's exactly what I designed it as.
If we were to go to a haunted house together, what player on the team would be the most scared going through that haunted house?
Luke Gifford.
Really?
Yeah. He's one of those guys where if you hide in the corner and pop out at him, he'll probably freak out.
Who is the spookiest mascot in college football?
I'd say Purdue Pete is pretty creepy. He's kind of got the eyes going on.
You ever heard the song Hey Mickey?
Yeah, I've heard that song before.
Could we hear the intro?
Hey Mickey, you so fine, you blow my mind. Hey Mickey.
Hey Mickey. Hey Mick, thank you so much for joining me, and this was
Fill in the Blanks.
That's all for this week. Thanks for watching Omaha Sunday Morning.